Welcome back to Coffee and Tea with CarrieVee. I'm CarrieVee, your biggest fan, the person who will believe in you until you can believe in yourself. Coffee and Tea with CarrieVee is all things leadership, communication, confidence, clarity, and your life. And joining us today again is Mike Sackmary. Mike is a regular on Coffee and Tea with CarrieVee. We love having him back, and we always let him surprise us with what he's going to talk about. So, Mike, welcome to the show. And what are we talking about today?
Thanks, Carrie. I always love being here. Since you just had your big radical empowerment conference, and I know a lot of your listeners are sort of still a little bit excited and high from all the great things they learned.
Yeah.
I want to talk about how to maintain focus. Now, what in the world would I know about that? I think I'm the world champion in the male category for losing focus really quick.
I'll take the championship in the female.
So yeah, let's talk about that a little bit, because once we understand what it is that we're called to do, what is our driver in life? What's the one thing that we want our life to really matter about?
Yeah.
Then we start building ways to, and by building includes mentoring and a lot of other things, but we start building ways for us to be empowered to do those things.
Yes.
Now it's sort of a passive use of the verb empowered, like it's coming from outside, but empowerment can also come from within.
Yeah.
It simply means releasing those chains off our mind of, I can't do this, you'll never be that. We've all heard it before, right?
Yes.
If you're so smart, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, that none of that is empowering, is it?
No.
So sometimes we have to empower ourselves by saying, I know my mission, I know my goal, I know I'm in love with, but I don't know how to get there yet.
Yeah.
So then we start seeking out people that are adherent to that space, and asking, how did you get there? What can I learn from you? And coupled with that is, how can I help? What could I do that would be useful to you?
Yeah.
So all that's great. And then we get defocused. At least I do, because I go on social media and then I go down rabbit trails. And sometimes when I'm reading a book, the author will make a comment and I'm like, I got to go research that right now. That really captured my mind. And, the next thing I know, I'm way off in the weeds.
Yes.
So how do you stay focused?
It's a great question.
I mean, a lot of it, I think, comes down to knowing when to turn off which inputs. Now, my background's all in science and engineering, and so I think in terms of inputs.
Yes.
Facebook is an input. YouTube's an input. Whatever talking head you listen to on TV, they're a secondary input, because they're getting their material off a teleprompter.
Yes.
And then they're passing it on to us on their broadcast. So you get double input. So I have to say, all right, much like a computer, what do I not need to have plugged in right now?
As I look at my 20 open tabs. Okay, keep going. It's true.
So we always want to keep our focus on what it is that's supporting our goal in life and what we're called to do.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of different ways to do that. And there's all kinds of gurus, experts, coaches out there, blah, blah, blah. But none of it matters. It really matters is what helps you as an individual.
Yes.
And what fits you is probably not going to fit other people. It's not going to come close to fitting, because you're unique.
Yes.
So I want every listener to think about what's unique about you. And then how would you describe yourself in terms of your inputs? What things am I letting come into my heart and mind? And one of the ways that we identify inputs that we need to unplug is what keeps us up at night. Or I'm stuck in traffic, and after the usual customary polite hand signals and other things we do for the people around us.
Not so polite, yeah.
What does your brain go to?
Mm-hmm.
Are you thinking about something somebody did that was wrong to you like 10 years ago? Are you dwelling on, that idiot that didn't hire you for your job or hire you to do business with them because they clearly don't have a clue? There's all kinds of places our brain goes. So whatever it is that keeps coming to mind, either find a way to use it to help you pursue your mission, or find a way to unplug it.
So how do we unplug it?
I've really struggled with this, and every time I come on the show, I love it because I can just be open and vulnerable, and I don't get a bunch of hate mail. So that's really sweet. I do sometimes get the message of what is wrong with you.
All right, nobody send Mike hate mail or what is wrong with you. Okay, go ahead.
But yeah, those are a lot of fun to answer.
You're like, we don't have enough time in the day for that question.
So I'm just going to give some ideas that work for me. I hope
That's
they work
good.
for the listeners, but if they don't work, do them a different way. See what works. So one thing that helps me a lot is to think about, how am I communicating with myself inside my own head? If I'm thinking about something that someone said to me, they said something negative about my faith or about me being a male or me being white or whatever, I think about, all right, why does that bother me? Is there any opportunity to talk to that person again and, have a rational discussion? If the answer is no, then I just need to drop it.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, they made a negative comment. They didn't even know me. They just made a comment because of my outward appearance.
Right.
So what? Famous phrase came out of World War II, the U.S. Marines, because as you may know, the U.S. Marines tend to put things very succinctly.
Yes.
Not always social media approved language, but it's.
I would expect that, but yes, of course.
And it was always, when it comes to a stressful situation and you're trying to get your point across, some will accept it, some won't, and so what?
I love that.
Some will, some won't, so what?
Some will, some won't, so what? I have heard that, but I needed that reminder, so thank you.
And that is a really key element in my being able to unplug things. Because I ask, what things are bothering me? Some things are bothering me. What things are not helping me? So some won't. The things that are not going to help me go in the won't bucket. So I unplug those and I say, so what? I can't do anything about them. They're not going to help me pursue my mission.
Yeah.
Then you have to let it go. And this is difficult. It's very difficult.
Yeah. Yes, it is. I'm just thinking through that as you were talking. The so what part of that phrase is the hardest. Letting that go, not waking up every day thinking about the same thing that was bothering you for the last 5 years, 2 years, 1 year, 1 day. That so what piece is hard. That's something comes up in my coaching with my one-on-one coaching clients all the time, is being able to say so what and walk away. That's tough. It's hard.
It is hard. I found a few things that I hope are helpful.
Yeah.
They certainly help me, but again, my brain's a little bit different. I know this. Particularly when it comes to male-female communication. I have females in my life who will hang on to something and let it fester and bother them. And so months or years later, they're like, well, you said this thing back in, 2001 and blah, blah. And I'm like, why did you let it sit there that long?
Yeah.
Why didn't you say something? And so I realized for me, I can do the same thing. I can let something bother me instead of just talking to the person.
Yeah.
So this is one thing that's helped me a lot, is just have a meeting with the person and say, all right, this is bugging me. Let's clarify what's going on here. And particularly, I know there's a lot of ladies listening. If you're having frustrations dealing with men, they don't think the same way you do. We all know this. So, and they're emotional. Men tend to be emotional in a different way than women. So what can help many times is just saying, this bothers me. What are you hearing me say right now? And make the guy repeat it back to you. Because I reverse this. I do this to ladies. I'm like, okay, this is what I think you said, and this is what I think I said. And most of the, I'd say 98% of the time, there's a lot of laughter after that, because it's like, boy, we are not saying the same thing.
Yes. So true.
So that helps a lot as far as things that bother us.
Yes.
Another focus area that I call it an area of great defocus is in our business. Our business is helping the smaller companies grow.
Yes.
Is entrepreneurs, startup companies, founders tend to get very defocused in the area of chasing too many different avenues at the same time, because you don't know which one's really going to pay off in pursuing your mission. So you spread yourself out.
Ouch.
I would encourage everyone to think about how my firm invests in smaller companies. As we look at, is the person pursuing 2 or 3 things at once? That's fine. If they've got 15 things going, we know they're spread too thin.
Yes.
They're not going to be a good risk for us.
Why are you picking on me?
I'm not. I'm probably hitting most of the human population with these comments. I've certainly done it.
I think you're picking.
I mean, we've had to pare down our company when we're explaining ourselves to people and potential clients. We only talk about 2 things we do, even though behind the scenes we got like probably 50 things going on, but we only present 2 because all those other things support the 2.
Yes.
So think about that, listeners. What is it that is distracting you from pursuing your main mission? A classic example is, what do I do with social media? It's everywhere. Do I do video shorts? Do I do interviews? Do I do this? Do I do that? And really, what difference is it going to make? That's the big question. If you don't know what difference it's going to make, think ahead of time about how you're going to measure the results. What metrics are you going to use to measure? And then what are you going to do with that information? And then try things in sequence. So you may try, for example, video shorts for a few months. What were my results?
Yeah.
Then you go on to being a podcast guest or a podcast host or writing articles in your favorite publication. But take on one at a time in sequence. You'll be more focused. I'm talking to myself. This is all experience.
No, you're not. You're picking on me.
But you'll be more focused.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing at a time in sequence. And when you hit one that's really paying off for you, it's like, okay, I don't have to worry about all that other stuff. Let me stick with the one that's working. So these are some ideas how to get more focus, how to maintain focus. It also has helped me a lot to have my squirrel brain time. This is a daily occurrence.
Me too.
I've set aside specific time during the day to just sit there and just let my brain run free. Like whatever the heck I feel like looking up or reading or painting or writing or whatever I feel like doing during that time, I just let my brain go with it.
That's a great idea. That's a great idea. For me, that is in writing, brain dumping, just getting it all out there, because our brains get tired, don't you think? Of holding onto all this stuff, and whatever it is that allows you to, when my brain is like that, I have a hard time reading because there's still too much movement in there. But when I write and get it all out there, then I can pick up a book and read because I feel like my brain is going, I needed that workout.
Yes. So it's really important for everyone. My opinion, I think everyone on earth benefits from having that squirrel brain time.
Yes.
And then just let it out, whatever it is for you on that particular day. And then you're much, much easier to focus on the things you want to do.
That is, John Maxwell has a book titled Thinking for a Change. And it is so good. One of my favorite books of his. I say that about all of his books, but I really, really love that one because it's not. It is all about taking time every day, just like you said, to think, and how important that is. And most people look at that as like their downtime, in air quotes for those of you listening, or they don't schedule it in because that's just not important time. But if you want to learn to focus, and if you truly want to bring about change in the world around you, that time to think every day is one of the most crucial things you can put in your calendar. And as I'm saying this, I realize how I have fallen off from doing that. And how amazing it was to be up super early this morning. 4:30, I was up and I had time to grab my journal and let myself just think on paper, and how much more productive I have been all day by giving myself that time.
Yeah, it's really neat, right? When
Yeah,
we do that.
it is.
There's a principle we had in the rocket business. In the weeks getting up to a rocket launch, we're super busy.
Yeah.
And you're on call 27 hours a day, 10 days a week. It's just relentless pressure.
Yes.
And one of the principles, because you're not going to retrieve the rocket once it's past orbit and it's out in space, you're not bringing it back. So no take backs.
Yeah.
But one of the things that you operate on in that high pressure environment is this principle. If you are super busy, it is the time to slow down.
Yes.
Slowing down calms your heart, calms your mind, and it puts us in a place where we're not going to have to go back and fix something because we're getting things done right the first time.
So I just want to repeat that. When you're super busy is the time to slow down.
Yes.
Wow.
You've all seen this in restaurants.
Yeah.
Go to a restaurant when it's super busy, get a stressed out server. And there's a big difference between a stressed out server that slows down and just tells people, I'm backed up, I'm doing the best I can, I'll get to you.
Yes.
Versus the one that's trying to speed up. Big difference.
Yeah.
Which one are you? And I think everybody benefits from being the one that says, all right, backed up, super busy, let me get things done right the first time, and I'll get to everything when I get to everything.
Yeah. I like to think of this as archery, having a bow and arrow in archery, because it's something I am familiar with. Not that I do it myself, but I've watched enough people do it. And some of my kids love archery hunting. And I could never really pull the thing back past when you pull the bow back, it hits this like mark where you have to get over that little hump and then it pulls back. But the whole thing is you pull it very, very, very slow, keeping your eye on the target, but it has to be slow. But when you let that arrow go and it's on the target, it is fast and it goes to the target quickly. But if you pull it back fast and just let it go, it's all out of whack. And I think of that all the time when I am working on something. How much do I need to slow that pull back so that I can let it go and let it hit its mark?
That's a really good example. I've had the same issue with arrows.
They go everywhere if you don't aim them properly, and the aim takes time.
Yeah, some of them go in my brother's yard.
That's not a it is so important to slow down, take that deep breath. And we were supposed to do this the Monday before my event, and I had to fire off that email. Dude, I just got to pull this back. I just need some time I got to slow down, or this event is not going to happen the way I want it to. So that week before, really, the event planner and I just slowed down, took a look at everything, spent 2 hours with everything spread out in front of us, just going over everything. And then we knew what we needed to pick up and put more time into, or just say, this is done, and table it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And as a result of doing that, you dropped your stress level.
Yeah. Oh, big time.
The event was more fun for you.
Yes.
And you probably gave a much better event than you would have had you tried to get more stuff done ahead of time.
Yes. Yes. You just have to, at some point, let go and say, this is what we've got. This is what we've got.
And for those of you listening who are sitting there in a little bit of turmoil thinking, how the heck do I let go? What are you talking about? You fool. Vent first, then let go.
Yes. Venting is good.
It is. It is very good.
It
but
is.
Let it out first, because if you've got that kind of, you're like a tea kettle. If you got that much pressure inside, you got to whistle first.
You do. You do. I love that analogy. When I have my one-on-one clients, some of them will apologize. I'm sorry, I'm just complaining. It's, you're not complaining, you are venting. And I'm watching my clock. You have exactly 10 minutes to vent. Then for the next 50 minutes, we're going to work on solutions, but get it all out there. I got to know what we're working with first.
I do the same thing. It's like, all right, you let them vent, and then usually I'm like, most of my clients are dudes, and I'm like, are you done yet? No? Okay. You got 5 more minutes.
And that's important, that timing it. I mean,
yeah, it is.
It's very important, because if not, you'll never move to the solutions. And if you don't move to the solutions, what was the point of venting? Seriously.
So one of the reasons that our brains trip us up is our brain doesn't want to move to the solution.
No.
Our emotions do.
Kind of feels good to lay there and complain and vent.
And complain. Our brains want to go to the negative.
It's comfortable.
But our hearts want to go to the positive. So we have this battle.
Yeah. True. And I think going back to the original of the main focus of this, when we are in that venting mode, we are not in a productive mode. We're not in a focused mode.
No.
We don't get focused till we start working on a solution, because then we have to be focused. I think. That's my opinion. I just took over your podcast.
That's not my podcast. It's our podcast.
I took over your, because you're the guest, so kind of it's yours right now.
So yeah, some tips on how to stay focused, the importance of it, how to release pressure helps a lot.
Yes.
I like journaling. I don't journal the way that Carrie journals, and that's okay. So when people talk about journaling, what I want all of you to hear in your head is journal my own way.
Yes. Thank you.
Some people will do that in a watercolor journal with no words at all. They just paint their feelings.
Yes.
Other people will do it with words. Some people do it, with symbols or math or musical notes. Do it the way you do it.
Yes.
Because the point of journaling is getting things out. And in that process of getting things out, you might find something that you need to focus on or something you need to change. But that's the whole point.
Yes.
And I have a challenge for all the listeners. How many of you have actually been keeping a journal and doing prompts like Carrie tells us to? Okay, so everybody just smacked me right now.
Yeah, they're all saying, why is he picking on me? They're saying, don't let him come back. But you bring up such a great point of when you get these journal prompts on this podcast, do with it what you want to do with it. Maybe it is taking the prompt and going out for a long walk and allowing yourself to think about it. Or maybe it's dancing, putting on something and just dancing and letting your brain run wild. So I love to write. I think there's power in writing, painting, using something that is connecting your brain to your hand. That might be playing an instrument, whatever that is, I think is very powerful. And I have started doing red light therapy. I started a few weeks ago, and it is a health and wellness game changer. I read about it for a long time, but that 20 minutes in that red light bed allows my brain to relax so much. There are so many thoughts, but eventually the thoughts calm down, and then there are solutions coming at me left and right. And on my way home, I'm speaking them into my notes so I don't forget about them. It's 20 minutes, but because I'm in a room, because I'm in a room all by myself and this bed that looks like a tanning bed, but it's all red lights, and it's just you. There's nothing. I mean, my husband always has a fan and an air conditioner on. I make them turn all that off. I want nothing, no noise of any kind, just silence. And it's powerful. It is powerful. Hot, which I love, and powerful.
Yeah, it's peaceful.
It's very peaceful. Oh,
that's
so good.
It's a really neat technology.
Mm-hmm.
And I laugh at some of these things I see, like the the red light therapy is becoming a thing, but I'm like, that was developed in the 1960s. It's been
Was
around
it?
for a while. Yeah, but some things take a while to catch on with the public.
Yes.
Just
Well, I think
there's
it
no
seems
particular
kind of like,
explanation why.
well, because people are resistant to change. That's why. I mean, maybe if you had told me
Hmm.
about this I was born in the 60s, so maybe if you told me about it in the 70s and 80s, and maybe I heard it in the 80s, and I was like, I'm not laying down in a bed with red light all around me. I don't know. Who knows? I don't remember ever hearing about it until probably within the last 5 years. And it is gaining in popularity. And it does. I definitely feel better when I get out of that red light bed. So I don't know really. I mean, I don't really know what it's doing. I just like it. That's what I know. It lets my brain It lets my brain relax. I know
Well,
it helps with
yeah,
healing and
that is almost everyone goes through life can say that. Yeah, I'm not really sure what I'm doing.
it's just something new to try. New provider said you should do this, and I said, okay, I'll do it. I will try anything to feel like,
There you go.
well, I shouldn't say anything because, I'm sure I have my limits, but I will take the suggestions from providers. Because I want to feel like me again. I want my health and fitness back. That brings me into, sorry, he's talking too. That brings me into great focus is when I feel good. And I haven't been there in so long that if you tell me 20 minutes in a red light bed twice a week is going to help me feel good, I'm going to be like, show me the bed. I'm there. I'll give it a try. I've tried everything else.
I did want to offer a bonus tip related to what you just said.
Let's do it.
I've had a lot of struggles with my weight. One of the things that helps me focus in business is and this may not work for all of you, you have to use it correctly, but I have a scale, a very accurate scale. I stand on it every morning and every evening, and I've tracked how much water I had during the day because a gallon of water adds 4.5 pounds of weight. Excuse me, a gallon of water adds 8.8 pounds of weight to your body.
Wow.
Of course,
Wow.
most of that you urinate out during the day, but if you see a shift of 8 pounds during the day and you've drinking a gallon of water, that's why.
Good to
But
know.
what that does for the way I use that measurement is I say, okay, every morning, am I consistently within a pound or two every morning over the course of time?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm watching a trend. Am I going up or going down in the morning? The same with the evenings. Then I say, this is for me because I have a struggle with this. I can gain weight by looking at food.
Yeah.
I swear.
Why are you picking on me?
Oh, that's me. That's me. But what I do to help, because if I feel good about my weight, everything else during the day is better and more focused. And I'm not thinking about it. So what I do to feel good about it is I watch a trend over the course of 3 or 4 days. If my morning weight is going up, I'm like, okay, I'll just eat less. I'm not going to starve myself. I'm not going to do one of these crazy crash diet things. I'm just going to eat a little less for the day.
Yes.
And then my brain is like, okay, I'm not really hungry. I'm eating enough to stay where I want to stay, but I'm not going up. And that has done so much to help me stay focused.
Yeah.
So those of you out there who share this struggle, I hope it helps you. I mean, that's why I'm talking about it, because I hope you can use what I just said.
Yeah.
And you naturally, lean people that don't worry about it. Well, good for you.
I don't know even what that's like. That is a great suggestion, though. And I have 2 dogs who want my constant attention right now. It is finding what works for you for this focus piece. And I have had they won't leave me alone. Since the event, I have had so much struggle, I don't know what the word is, challenge, that's a good one, to get really back into the swing of things and bringing that focus back around. And this has triggered a lot of things in my brain of what I could be doing to really get back into into my groove. One of the things, so I've been doing user generated content for another stream of income, and it's a creative outlet, and I love it. Creating all these cute little videos. Last night I did one. A company hired me to do a video for them on hemorrhoid cream, and they wanted
I see.
they wanted you to be creative. I don't mind. I'm an open book. They wanted me to be creative with how I demonstrated the use, and we just happened to have a sweet potato that looked like a rear end. It was just the coolest thing. And so I did this video using this sweet potato, and they wrote today and they were like, "Oh my gosh, we love the video. We're going to use it in our marketing." And I was just laughing. And my husband said, you look so relaxed for the first time since the event. And I realized I need to give myself that creative space every day. I have been viewing all of these jobs as, okay, I need to get my work done, and then I have to find time to fit all this in, rather than saying this hour during the day, all these jobs that I have stacking up within the app that I use, I get to spend an hour a day just being creative. And when I allowed myself last night to just be creative with that job, it just flowed. It took 5 minutes, but it will take me an hour to do one job when I'm stressed over what I'm going to put out there. And so listening to you talk about this letting your brain just go time that helped me a lot to
Good.
Yeah, because I want to be super focused again.
I always try to bring useful things.
You do. So tell us, since you brought us all these useful things, tell us what your superpower is today, or right now, or however you want to answer that question.
So I feel like I have a superpower and a half. So I'm really blessed in that. My real superpower is, and this is coming out of many years using the analytical part of my brain, I'm really good at assessing smaller companies and figuring out which ones we should be investing in.
Mm-hmm.
Which means if you're a Carrie listener and you email me and say that you heard me on this podcast and you made it to this 32-minute mark, good for you. Let me know. I'll do a free assessment of your business. I'll tell you if I was going to invest, here's things I'd be looking at. And you can use that however you want to.
Very cool.
So that's my main superpower.
Okay.
My half superpower is I absolutely love to encourage and lift people up in business when I can. So I'm always looking for the person that's about to pull their hair out. If that's you, just shoot me a message. I mean, there's no guarantee I'm going to be useful, but I'll do my best. All I can say.
You'll be useful. So how can we get our hands on these services? How can we get a hold of you? Where do we go? How do we find Mike Sackmary?
So the fastest way is just email me. It's firstcall@companysaviors.com.
Okay.
And that link will be down here below the podcast.
Sure will be.
If you want to go the slower route, find me on LinkedIn, but I'm not on there every day.
Okay. So email.
So yeah. And I have a journal prompt for you guys.
We want the journal prompt. That was my next. See, you've been on so many times. You're like, I know what she's going to say. I'm just going to beat her to the point. Give us her journal prompt.
This is a hard one, but I know you all can do it. And I want to see you do it because it's going to be good for you.
I'm writing it down.
Yeah. So your journal prompt for the next week, 7 days in a row, do it 7 days in a row and just write down there, what is really bugging me the most? And you don't need to think about it. Don't analyze it. Don't ponder it. Don't cogitate on it. Just say what's bugging me the most. And the first thing that comes into mind is what you write down.
I love that.
Because you're not giving your brain time to think.
Yeah.
And then day 7, after you've written that down on day 7, you look at the last 7 days and see, is it the same thing every day? Or is it different things? And then use what you heard in this podcast. It's like, okay, some of these things I can change. Those are the some wills. Those are the things I can deal with.
Okay.
Some won't. There's nothing I can do about them. And you say, so what to the won'ts? The things you can't do anything about, just forget them.
Love it.
And then the things you can do something about, just come up with a plan that makes sense to you.
Perfect.
Because you don't need that stuff sitting in your brain.
No, we need to, if we want to be focused and productive, we need to get rid of all of those layers of gunk.
Yep.
Just slowing us down. Thank you, Mike, for hanging out with us. It's always a good time to hang out with Mike Sackmary.
It's always fun. I'm so happy to be here, Carrie.
I'm happy that you're here. So happy. And so pick a time when you're coming back so we can get more Mike Sackmary.
I will do that. And you listeners, I mean, message me with, like we said earlier. If you're not up for that, just put a comment down below so Carrie and I can pick up your comments next time we're together and answer some of your questions.
Yes. Comment, email, LinkedIn, in that order.
There you go.
Or email, comment, LinkedIn. Let's do it that way. Email, comment, LinkedIn, but get a hold of Mike and get those assessments. Hang out with him for a bit. You'll be glad you did. And he might even send you pictures of some of his paintings.
Ooh, yeah, I could do that.
Yeah, they're pretty phenomenal. So, Mike, thank you for hanging out with us today. You're welcome. And we look forward to having you on the next time you're here for Coffee and Tea with CarrieVee.
Whee!
Thank you.